Welcome to the pilot paper discussion part 1, BL8 Digital Business Strategy. Let's start with the first question. What best describes the characteristics of a strategic decision? Now, to answer this question, I have taken apart from your syllabus the study pack. Now it says the characteristics of a strategic decision. There's a table here which is giving the 4 characteristics. So let's look at one by one. The first characteristic is the complexity. Why a strategic decision becomes complex is because it involves number of interrelated factors and information from different departments, different products and different sources of information is considered, and the decision taken will be covering a large portion of the organization, not only one single thing. So the decision itself will be a complex decision. And then another characteristic is uncertainty. Uncertainty means now these decisions are taken for the future. This is not for the day-to-day operation, this is taken for the future. So obviously some decisions will not work sometimes because of the conditions will change in the future. So there is a high degree of uncertainty in this decision making process. So we call it an uncertain decisions are there because of the strategic decision making, right? And then thirdly, these decisions, although they are strategic decisions, they affect the day-to-day business operation. So when you take a decision, when an organization take a decision, for example, when there are products from selling in the store, if they decided to take it to the online store, and the whole operation of the organization will now have to change from the previous method, because now the products are sold online. There won't be a store, physical store where people come and buy. So therefore this decision will affect the day-to-day business. And finally, almost all strategic decisions, they affect the entire organization. Let it be the decision taken for one of the products which the organization is doing, it will have an impact on the overall organization, where all these required processes and operational requirements will be affected throughout the organization. So according to what is given in the textbook, you can straight away find that as an answer in the question given, the part A, the answer A says complexity, uncertainty, impact on business operations and affect the entire organization. So that is the first question. Let's move on to the second question. Now, second question is about levels that strategic management occurs in an organization. So the question says, the first answer is highlighted as the correct answer: corporate level, business level and the functional level. Now I have taken this portion from your textbook so you can easily relate. Let's see what's mentioned here. Levels of strategy. Strategic planning occurs at different levels within a business organization. At the overall corporate level, at the divisional level, within the organization as a whole, and at functional or operational level for each business division, right? And it also says that very large business organizations are usually divided into a number of separate major operating divisions. So I think you have heard this word called SBU, strategic business unit. So each separate business unit will function as, I would say, one organization inside the organization, working towards that organization's product or service. So if you look at these decisions, these are the levels of the decisions. This is not a decision taken by a group of people where corporate decisions are taken and another group of people who takes business strategy. No, it's not like that. Sometimes all three levels of decisions will be made by a set of people who are common to all these three levels, right? So this is about the level of the decision. The level can be a corporate level decision where the whole organization is affected, and higher level decisions, right? For example, acquiring another organization, starting up a branch in a different location, thinking about increasing the share price over the next 5 years. So decisions like that belongs to corporate strategy. And then comes a business strategy, whereas in large organizations, as we talked about earlier, have strategic business unit or separate divisions for each product and service. So division wise or product wise, these SBUs, they can take their own decisions to compete with the customer, the other companies, and attract more customers. So they can take business strategy decisions based on their strategic business unit. And finally, these decisions are affecting the day-to-day operations in the strategic business unit itself, or the department, or even with the day-to-day operations of the whole organization it may affect. So these decisions will also affect operational or functional strategies as well. So the second question, corporate level, business level, and functional level, are the three levels where strategic management occurs in an organization. Now let's move on to question number 3. Now this is a question about the networking arrangement in an organization. So question is asking about how extranets are divided and you have to select the answer. So before looking at the answer, I would like to take you through what this is all about. So you have, I've taken all this from the textbook. So you have extranet, and you have intranet and supranet. I have colored it in the same color because it belongs to the same category. And I also have taken something called intranet. Now if you look at this intranet first, this is the first step of your information system in the organization. Intranet is something that is only available inside the organization to do the day-to-day process. So we can call it as an internal network or intranet. So this is what we see almost in all the organizations. And then this intranet can also be extended, or at least part of this intranet, not the overall intranet, part of this intranet can be made available for access from the outside. For example, some staff members will need to work in this system while they are outside of the office. So not the complete network, but a selected part of it, a selected portion of information can be made available to be accessed from outside the organization. Right. So when that happens, that portion of this intranet which are accessible from the outside, we call it an extranet. External network. So the organization will have the internal network, and it is connected, or part of it is available for access via outside. So anyone who is having an internet connection using a VPN or any kind of a arrangement can connect to a part of the intranet of this organization, so which is called the extranet. So this is the external part of the organization's network. So this extranet is also we divide it into two types: intranets and supranets. Intranets is the same intranet where we can access it from the outside. So this can be given access to our external agencies who are working with us, the suppliers, or even the customers can log in into our system and do certain tasks in the system. So in the extranet, this portion we call it as intranet. Right. Now then there's another part of this is calling supranet. Supranet is something where the organization doesn't control, which organization doesn't own, but part of the network. Now intranet organization owns it, they can control it, right? That is their own network. Extranet also, yes, part of the intranet is now available outside. You have to log in and all the security is there, but still the organization has full control over this. So intranet is what this network is made available for outside people. Then what is supranet? If you take an example like the CRIB information, the Credit Information Bureau network. For financial institutions, banks and leasing companies, they connect to CRIB system. All their customer related data will be sent to the CRIB information system. And when they want to find out about a certain customer's credit rating and other related information, they also connect to this network to find out about customers that they are trying to give loans and other financial facilities. So CRIB network is not controlled by individual banks or finance providers, but all these finance providers and banks, they give information to this network and they obtain information from this network, but they don't have control how the network works. So that is a supranet. Though your internal network connects to this network, you don't have control over it. You are just giving information what you are supposed to give, and you are obtaining information what the network can provide. But whereas intranet, this is just extending your intranet to be accessed from outside, and you still control all the functionality and the facilities of intranet. So if you look at the extranet, it can be divided into intranets and supranets. So the first answer given, intranet and supranet, has to be corrected. It has to be intranets, and supranets. So here it should be intranet, not an intranet. Right. So let's move on to the fourth question. If an educational institute set up a web-based information system which allows its academic staff to analyze the student's grade and take decision, it is an example of. So the answer here is intranet. So we even discussed in the third question, this is a task or a facility available for internal staff members, and analyzing marks and this sensitive information, mostly you do it inside the organization. You will not give access from the outside. So academic staff who are working in the organization, they will use the intranet to access this system, right? And some organizations will have this intranet with student information, part of this to be available via the extranet, where staff members can add and access in some part of the information, not every, but some part of the information from this. So for this question, basically it's the intranet. And if you look at this, I've taken this from your textbook. If you look at this, internet, intranet and extranet. Internet is the public network where we pay our internet service providers and we obtain the connection and we browse and exchange information with anyone in the world. So this is a public network. Intranet is a network which is privately created for an organization. Anyone can create their own intranet, and sometimes this network can also use internet to get information and access information. For example, the organization's intranet will be connected to the internet to send and receive emails. So the staff members will have an email account. All the emails will come from other parts of the world, and this intranet will be connected to the internet. Extranet, this allows access to the intranet from the outside. So internal network and external part of the network. Right. So here the answer is intranet, and it cannot be extranet, database or e-commerce. Alright, let's go to question number 5. Which statement best describes the purpose of data mining? I have taken this section from the textbook. Data mining software looks for hidden patterns and relationships in large pools of data. So what it does is, it discovers relationships which are previously not visible to us, right? And this can provide insights on new things that we didn't know about what was happening. To give you a bit of a understanding on how this happens is, I think in some supermarkets, if you really notice, you can see certain products are stacked together and kept together. Certain products are kept together and they doesn't go, they doesn't belong to the same category. For example, if we look at bread and eggs, sometimes some supermarkets, they keep it together because they have found that during the past period of time, maybe last many years, people who bought bread had a high percentage buying eggs as well. So through data mining, some organizations, some supermarkets have identified that when buying bread, people tend to buy eggs. Another example can be, most of the supermarkets these days are giving discounts during weekends for certain type of products. As an example, fresh vegetables and fruits are on discount during the weekends. Why they have done this is, they may have found, based on the previous buying patterns of people using a data mining software, during what time that people tend to buy these type of products more and more. And they might have found that during the weekends, people buying these products are higher compared to weekdays. So they give more discounts on that peak time so that more and more people will come and buy these products during that time, right? So if you look at the answers, the highlighted answer, it says to discover unknown patterns of captured data. So that is what this data mining software can do, right? So first answer is the correct answer, which is marked. And other answers, this is not about summarizing the gathered data using reports. No, this is not to confirm whether the data is there or not, and this is not a software to store the data. Data is already stored. If you want to take summary reports, there are other tools to take it, and to verify whether the data exists, there are other tools to do it. So data mining software or the data mining tool, what it does is, it identifies links and patterns and relationships in the already captured data. Right. Question number 6. It's a true-false question. The statement is the most important factor in a knowledge management strategy is ICT. So the answer is false. Now let's look at the section from the textbook here. Knowledge management. This section was taken from the Management Information Systems textbook by Lorden. It's a very popular textbook among IT students. I think you can find it really easily in a library. So according to this textbook, they are saying that effective knowledge management, if you are to do knowledge management effectively, 80% of that is based on the managerial and the organizational aspects. 80% is management support, management's decision for that, and management's direction on doing this, and management's willingness to change processes and include new processes, and the whole organization needs to change. So management has to support that. Then the organization also should be ready, meaning the staff members and the customers, whoever is concerned, has to be ready to go through this change for the knowledge management. And only 20% technology will help to assist in this process. Some knowledge management tasks and projects can be done without any technology being used. So knowledge management as a separate area, you can do that, and you can get the technology to help you, and it will be effective, but 80% is non-technology related. So this statement is not correct, it's false. 80% is managerial and organizational. ICT is only 20% of this effort. Right. Question number 7. This question is about research and development. So you can see pure research, applied research, and development in the answer. So let's look at what are these three things are. So pure research is about, this is original research to obtain new scientific or technical knowledge. The difference between pure research and applied research is both will work on obtaining original knowledge, new scientific and technical knowledge. Both research will do that. But pure research is, the sole purpose is just to get this new knowledge understood. And these projects will be funded by government or by universities, because this does not have any commercial target or commercial value, because this knowledge is not, they are not planning to use this for any product or service to earn money. So they are pure research. And then comes applied research. Applied research is mostly done by private organizations, commercial organizations, because this research will help them to come up with new products and services, so that this knowledge can be used to commercialize purpose. So this will help organization to capture new markets, get a competitive advantage over the other organization. So if a private organization is investing for research, they are looking at a financial return with the new knowledge. And finally, the development. Research and development, we normally use R&D together. So development means this is not about new knowledge. This is about existing knowledge. Whatever the pure research or applied research, whatever they have found earlier, and using that to do improvements of the products and services currently what we are having. So that is development, right? So any new knowledge found can be used to improve the products or services, or the organization can do their own applied research and find new knowledge and use it for product development or service development. So the question here is about the first blank. We'll read it and see. Is organizational research to obtain new scientific or technical knowledge or understanding, where this has specific practical aim or application which has a commercial aspect. So here you have to use applied research because it's talking about the commercial aspect of it, and here it's talking about original research only to get the new knowledge, so it's pure research. So this answer is correct for this question. Let's move on to the question number 8. Okay, in the 8th question, it says, if IT systems are considered to be a unique resource for a company, it creates core competence and competitive advantage. So before we look at these core competence and competitive advantage, this is what the textbook is saying. It says, information technology systems for many companies are a key element. Without IT systems, they could not compete successfully. IT systems may possibly become a unique resource for some companies and may be used to create a core competence and competitive advantage. So that's why this answer is selected as the correct answer. But if you look at a unique resource versus a threshold resource, what do you mean by a threshold resource? Threshold resources are those which are needed to meet customers' minimum requirements and therefore to continue to exist. So this merely achieves parity with the competitors. So threshold resources are things that the organization should have at a minimum. Minimum level of resource is a threshold resource. So if you don't have the threshold resources, you can't do the business, you will fail. But there are certain resources which are not minimum, you don't need to have them, but if you have those resources which are very unique, not everyone has it, so in that situation it will give the organization core competence and competitive advantage. So for example, if one organization doesn't have an online platform to sell the products, so people has to come to buy this to a physical store and do payments there and take the product. And if another organization, other than having a physical store, if they also have an online web page where people can buy the product on the web page and pay using the web page payment gateway, that organization is having a unique resource where the most of the other organizations are not having. So it will give the core competence and competitive advantage to such organizations. So if we look at the question number 9 now, let's see what it is. Which of the following is most important advantage of cloud computing? So this question is all about cloud computing. Now if you look at the description given in the textbook, let's see what it is. Cloud computing is on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage, computing power, without direct active management by the user. So what does this mean? This means all the resources which you are trying to use from a cloud computing is on demand without you needing to do any changes. A simple example is, let's say you have a website which attracts about 100 customers per month. Let's say you have a website, you are selling some products by yourself, and there are about 100 customers every month who buy, and you want to buy technology requirement. For example, web hosting and all the technical services that you have to buy for your websites to run perfectly. So now you think, since you have only 100 users, you will buy whatever is required, the storage and the speed of the server and the website hosting plan and all that. You will buy thinking that, okay, I'm having 100 customers now. Sometimes I might get about 200 customers as well in certain months. So then I have to be ready for that. So then people had to buy all these resources up to the maximum limit, because when a lot of customers are coming in, if the website cannot handle them, then what happens is all the customers will not get the service from the website. But what if this high demand of customers, the lot of customers are only coming in only during 1 month of the year, all the 11 months 100 customers, only 1 month during the season 200 customers. So earlier what happened was, the organization has to pay for 200 customers for the whole year. All 12 months they have to pay. There is no method when the customers are coming in, automatically increase the power and the storage, and when the customers are not there, reduce. So there was no dynamic on-demand availability. Cloud computing solves that problem. So you can buy an initial amount of speed and storage and facilities, and you can let it be like that. And maybe tonight while you are sleeping, if 1000 customers come to your website, no problem. The cloud computing solution automatically will provide services for all the customers, automatically increase the size and the speed. And then in the morning, when the customers are again back to normal, it will shrink down to the previous facility. Then what will happen is, you will only have to pay for 24 hours of higher usage only. You don't have to. So it's like the phone bill. If you talk too much, you will pay on more on that month, and if you don't talk too much, you will only pay a small amount. So like that. So next also, cloud computing technologies have changed the ways in which organizations store and manage their data. An increasing amount of organizational data is now held in servers operated by cloud-based providers. So nowadays, mostly almost all organizations are moving into cloud-based services, because it is very difficult and costly to have on-premise, which means that inside the organization maintaining servers and huge IT departments and purchasing equipment and doing all of that is a bit of a trouble and a risk to organization. So this also is now cloud computing is used, cloud services are used by most of the organizations because of the easy availability and value for money. Storing organizational data in the cloud means that it is potentially accessible from anywhere in the world where the internet connectivity. So you have two aspects into this. Your whole system in the organization now can be accessed from anywhere in the world, which means that your staff members, your customers, suppliers and everyone can connect with you and do all the business tasks anywhere in the world. So that is a plus point. But the other side of it is, since your organization's network and all the information can be accessed from outside, then you have to be careful about the security of it as well. Now if you look at the other explanation from the textbook, it says it is also worth considering cloud computing infrastructure. Organizations now have more control over how and where systems and information are stored, in contrast to on-premise systems. So this is having IT systems within the organizations in a server room. So on-premise, within the premises. Systems and data are often outsourced and managed in a hosted location. So cloud computing, everything is managed and hosted and kept in a different location, not in your organization. So that gives the advantage of anytime when you want more storage, automatically you can get it, then later on you can pay for it. If when and only when you need faster processing, you can get it. You don't have to pay for faster processing all the time. When you need faster processing for 1 week, you can pay for 1 week and you can get it. And improved options for upscaling. If you have all the within the premises software and hardware and servers and all that, every 5 years or 10 years sometimes you may be able to upgrade these systems. Before that you can't, because you have already spent a lot of money on buying this equipment to your organization. But that's not the case with cloud computing, because all these systems and technology and everything is managed by a third-party organization, so they have the capacity and the facilities to do that. So whenever you need more features, or whenever you need an upgrade, or whenever you need different facilities, you can just request for that and immediately it will be available. So that those are the 3 benefits here. So in the question, the 3 answers given, all 3 are correct. So then we have to select all of the above are important advantages of cloud computing. Now let's move on to the 10th question. The 10th question is about A space is a collection of screens providing information in text and graphic form, any of which can be viewed by clicking the appropriate link on the screen. So this question is asking about a collection of pages where text and graphic is used and there are links to be clicked to go to other places. So everyone knows that this is about a website we are asking. So textbook says something like this: a website is a collection of web pages. So web pages, a group of web pages belonging to a same category, becomes a website, right? Providing information in text and graphic form, any of which can be viewed by clicking an appropriate link on the screen, which can be a button, a word, or an icon. So website will have many web pages. Web pages will have text and graphic and links and all that, and those collection of web pages belongs to one website, and then it becomes a website because it's a collection of screens, or we can say collection of pages. And then the internet enables computers across the world to communicate via telecommunication links. Information can be exchanged through email or by accessing and entering data via a website. So web pages, group of web pages belonging to the same category or same topic or same organization, group of that we consider it as a website. And to access a website, you can access it by using internet. So internet is the road to go to a website, and World Wide Web is a term for all the websites, media and information available on internet. So inside World Wide Web, all the information accessible in the internet is available. So internet contains World Wide Web, and in the World Wide Web you can find a lot of websites. So this is how it works. So first answer, a website is a collection of screen providing information like that. Okay, so let's move on to question number 11. Which of the following is not a reason for an organization to invest in technology? Why organizations invest in technology? With technology, you can get, in earlier question also we saw, can you get a competitive advantage over the competitors? Yes, you can. if you use latest and improved technology with advanced features, you can give a better, the latest kind of a experience to the customers. So you can obtain competitive advantage if you invest on the right technology, right? The needed technology, if you have, it will definitely be a competitive advantage, right? Can technology investment be a survival strategy? Yes. When other organizations are investing on their technology and moving up in the market, if you want to survive, you have to also invest in technology. If you remember, some time back, when the first few banks started introducing ATMs, when there were no ATMs in the country, the first banks, one or two banks, when they invested on ATMs and started ATMs in their banks, then what happened? Other banks, if they want to be in the business, they also have to have their ATMs installed. So if they didn't have ATMs, imagine if there's a bank today who doesn't have ATM facility, where you have to go to the counter to deposit and withdraw cash. That bank will not be available because people will not go to that bank because it's not convenient where other banks are giving that facility. So as a survival strategy, yes, it's a reason to invest in technology. For better decision making, yes, because you can invest on technology to have more decision making related software, analytical related software, so that you can get information very quickly, real time information, which can help you to take better and very informed decisions. So organizations invest in technology to get them help from technology for better decision making. So none of these three are a reason for not to invest. So answer here is none of the above. Right. Now let's move on to question number 12. Right. Which of the following is not an example of a velocity of big data? Now, have you heard this term called big data? I think you have heard many times now. Big data is all about a large pool of data, a very large pool of data, which is collected over a time and which is being collected from many different sources. So it will have many types of data, not only one single type. So if you look at the textbook is discussing about different features or attributes of big data. So one attribute of big data is velocity. I have mentioned another attribute here, volume, and there are another couple attributes you can check in the textbook. So velocity means at a high speed, right? At a speed. This means at a consistent or at a great speed something is happening, velocity. So in terms of big data, let's see each of these things. If we take an example called social media posts of a country in the last week, right? During the last week, if we think about all the social media posts in Sri Lanka, what we can guess is how fast the posts are coming in. Every second, how many posts are coming in. So this example is a good example for the speed of big data. So many posts are being created and shared as we speak every second, right? So this is about the speed. Second one, Twitter messages generated last 24 hours in the world. Oh my god, last 24 hours in the world, right? So every second, right, hundreds of thousands of Twitter messages might be created and shared and viewed, right? Very fast. A lot of Twitter messages are created every second, right? So you are again talking about speed of data being created. So this is a example for velocity. Yes. Let's look at number C. Stock trades last week all around the world. We have a lot of stock markets all around the world in different countries, and each country opens the stock market every day and does trading. So lot of stock trading, large number of trading happens every day, and when it comes to all around the world, lot of stock markets are there. So a large number of data being created each and every second. Again, it's an example of the velocity, speed of data being created. Fourth one, which is not an example of velocity, correct, because this is not talking about the speed of data being created. Census data collected from 1980. There's no speed in this. What you can see from this is the large volume of data. So big data, another factor is large volume. These are the velocity, speed factor, how fast the data is being collected. This is an example for how big or how large the volume of data is. So this is the answer for this question, because the question is saying not an example for velocity. Yes, this is not an example for velocity, this is an example for volume. Right. Let's move on to question number 13. Innovation is blank of a new product, blank or service. Let's look at what the textbook says. So it says innovation, it involves the conversion of new knowledge into a new product, process or service, and the putting of this new product, process or service into actual use. So putting it into actual use meaning commercializing it, making money out of this product. So using this product means commercializing or selling this product. So if you look at the question, it says innovation is commercialization of a new product, process or service. New product, process or service into actual use means commercialization. So let's move on to question number 14. Which of the following is more accurate description of disruptive innovation? So if you first look at what the textbook says here, disruptive innovation describes a process by which a product or service takes root initially in simple applications at the bottom of the market and then relentlessly move up the market, eventually displacing established competitors. So disruptive innovations, these are innovations which start small with a small market segment at the bottom of the market and then suddenly breaks up in the market, putting away all the other big players, key players, and establishing the place. So one example can be when we were using cassette players, the cassettes, to listen to songs. It was so popular those days, and a lot of electronic companies was producing cassette players, and that was the main method of music listening by the people. We had portable players, we had hi-fi systems, we have all these devices at home, and then suddenly started little and then moved up. What happened was then came the CD technology. Then we had a disc kind of a thing where we can store high quality audio and more songs in the disk than compared to the cassette. So that can be considered as a disruptive innovation, right? So if you look at the answers given, first one is the product that eventually displaces existing competitors. So that, yes, that is a possibility. So it displaces the existing competitors, correct. A product is very new to the customers, so they need to change the behavior to use it, correct. Because this product and disruptive innovation, that product was not there earlier, so people was not used to using that product or service. It's a new thing, so they have to change the behavior to use it. Alright, so people will change their behavior for the new products. Thirdly, a product which is of high quality and less expensive. Disruptive innovations doesn't need to be high quality or less expensive products. Some disruptive innovations can be expensive, and some disruptive innovations can be low quality as well, but which is enough to do the work, right? Sometimes we can't even compare the quality because it's a totally new product, so the quality of the product we can't compare. So here the answer is 1 and 2. So the C is the correct answer. Let's move on to question number 15. Which of the following is not true with regard to blockchain? Now blockchain, this is what the textbook is saying. Let's have a look at it. Blockchain is a public form of bookkeeping that uses a digital ledger to allow individuals to share a record of transactions. So this is a method of digital ledger. So the first point they're saying is this is a type of incorruptible distributed ledger. This ledger cannot be corrupted. Why? Because all the entries and all the objects and the previous owners are visible and transparent to everyone. So you can't make a change anywhere because the previous step also visible. All the previous steps are visible. So if you make a change, that it will be visible to everyone. So therefore you can't make a change. So this allows information to be recorded and shared with a network of individuals. So a lot of people who are using this technology can have access to all this history of changes. It is a public form of bookkeeping. Public form of bookkeeping. And it uses internet technologies. And it instantly verify and record transactions. So everyone can see it. All the transactions happen at that right time. The public nature of blockchain means that every individual can view the transaction made by participants in that network. So all the owners and the objects in this network can see how the transactions have happened, right? So this also can be a peer-to-peer network, one person to another person, right? And this means that participant can view the date, time, value of transactions and who was involved in these transactions. So therefore the record is shared. Now because this information is not corruptible, people cannot change it because this uses a technology called cryptographic technology, which is used in information security, cyber security. So these technologies are being used here. So you can't change or alter the information or corrupt it, right? So this is all about a decentralized architecture. So no one owns any transaction or this ledger concept. Everyone is using. So this is a distributed ledger, right? So everyone can participate in their transaction and everyone else can see how the transaction has happened. So let's look at the 4 answers. A register or a ledger in blockchain map between owners and objects. Yes, that is what we discussed now. Correct. Blockchain is a distributed ledger on a peer-to-peer network. Correct. So these are between the people who are using it. So, and this is a distributed ledger. This is not central to one person or organization. Each block in the blockchain includes the cryptographic hash of the prior block. So that's why we said it's incorruptible, right? It's cryptographically secured. Each block is secured cryptographically. Right. Blockchain uses a single centralized authority architecture, which is wrong, which is the total opposite of distributed architecture. And there is no central authority. No one owns the blockchain system. Right? So the question is asking which is the not true one. So this is not true. Let's move on to question number 16. Which statement is true out of the following? Bitcoin is a decentralized cryptocurrency. Bitcoin does not require bank or government for transaction. Bitcoin is not a fiat currency. Right. Right. So this is what the textbook says. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency that uses internet technologies to facilitate transactions made online. And cryptography is a key feature in this cryptocurrency. Right. Cryptocurrencies are forms of digital currency that do not exist in physical form. So that's why we are saying it's not a fiat currency. Bitcoin and Ethereum are two of the best known cryptocurrencies. There are more than 1600 different cryptocurrencies at existence. And new types of cryptocurrencies are evolving. So there might be a lot more by now. A key feature of this is that it makes use of science of cryptography. It utilizes digital signatures so that they cannot be counterfeited. Right. So this is not controlled by central bank or any other authorities as the conventional currencies that we use. Right. So as opposed to the dollar, which is controlled by the government of the US government, and when you try to exchange or trade or use it for some purpose, you need an institution to intervene. So all the currencies that we use, which are fiat currencies, will be having its effect, the government's effect on them, but this currency does not have effect on any government interventions. So the answer for this question, we can say that all of the above is correct and compared to Bitcoin. Now let's look at question number 17. Okay, this question is about the security. Now, before reading the question, let's look at these four answers. We have network security, database security, information security, physical security. I will start from physical security. What do you mean by physical security? Physical security is something that we concern about the infrastructure being secured from physical damage. For example, if you have your servers and your equipment in a place where it can be damaged. For example, your server room should not get caught by fire. Your server room should be protected from floods. Your server room should have a proper access control and locking mechanism where unauthorized people can't get in. So that is a physical security. This is nothing related to IT security. This is a physical security. So having the doors locked and proper security measures taken, and the devices are lightning protectors are installed, UPS installed for power fluctuations and power outages, and air conditioning is provided for devices being overheated. So things like that is concerned in the physical security. Then database security. So in your organization, we have a database where all the transactions and customer information is being stored. So database security is all about protecting that information from unauthorized access or modification. So you will have software related protection for these databases, and this is also required that the database also should be functioning for the people who are using this service. If the database, for example, let's say you go to an ATM to withdraw money and the bank's database is not working, someone has done an attack to the database, now the database is not available, so all the ATMs in the country is not working at the moment, people can't take money out of it. So from that also you have to protect the database. So database should be able to provide information to the people who are supposed to get it, and a database should be protected from unauthorized access or modification. And network security means your database and your servers, email, your internal ERP, everything is connected with your network. So you have Wi-Fi, you have network cables, you have routers, you have switches, all these things you have in your organization. So you have to protect the network so that other people will not connect to it, or other people will not disrupt or damage the network so that you can't do your business. So that is network security. And finally, information security. Now we talked about all these devices and databases and physical places. Information security is about the security of the information. For example, if an organization, let's say they created a sensitive document from the finance department about the organization's bank account, and now they want to send it to let's say someone else for evaluation or auditing. So that information the finance department will email those people, and I think everyone knows the practice. So when you're emailing a sensitive information, you will put a password to that document, and then you attach and you send the email, and you send the password maybe in SMS or in a different method, right? So why? Because you want to protect the information, right? So information security is protecting the information. Network security is protecting the network and the infrastructure. Database security is about protecting the database and providing access to people who should be accessing it. Physical security is about protecting the locations, the devices physically with security measures. So if you look at the question, we can say is the practice and precautions taken to protect valuable information from unauthorized access, recording, disclosure, destruction. So protecting the information is information security. So let's move on to question number 18. An old system having a legacy or management information system that lacks functionality is not a requirement for organizations to invest in technology. So it says if you have an old system, right, and that old system is not having enough functionality, right, whatever the organization wants to do now, they can't do it because the system is old and that system does not have this new functionality, right? So you need a new system because the functionality is what you are looking for. It's totally fine to have old system if it's functioning the way you want, right? So if it's not functioning the way you want, if it doesn't have the features of what you require now, then you have to change it. You have to invest on a new system, or you have to invest on upgrading. So the answer is selected as false because it says lacking of functionality is not a requirement to invest. It is not correct. If the functionality is not there, even a legacy system or a new system, we have to get that functionality, right? But if the legacy system, the old system, is having functionality still, there's no need to invest in it. So for this question, the answer is false. So I have taken this part from the textbook here. There are a variety of reasons why an organization might require new technology. So this is what the textbook is saying as to reasons why an organization should be investing in technology. So the first reason itself is, if you have an old legacy system that lacks functionality, then you have to invest. The system is old and legacy and it does not have the enough functionality, you have to upgrade or go to a new one. Slow or out of memory systems with no method for increased disk space. So if you don't have enough space or memory or even processing power, then you have to upgrade. Difficulties in upscaling, again due to old or out of date hardware. So after many years, the new requirements or the new capacity, you can't upgrade after certain time because the device doesn't support. So the fourth one, poor data management. If certain rules and regulations are there in place, but your old system does not support these rules and regulations. And number 5, poor security management. If the enough security cannot be managed, the new security parameters cannot be integrated, then what happens is you have to go for a new system because security also is a priority, right? And talking about the old system, when you buy new systems and part of new systems, or if you go for cloud-based systems to work with in the organization, the old system, if you can't connect them to the new cloud system, then it's no point of keeping those systems. You have to upgrade. So let's move on to question number 19. Out of the following, which is the most realistic relationship between e-commerce and e-business? Let's look at the e-business, what the textbook is saying. E-business is the use of electronic technologies, including internet, to support and transform business processes. So e-business is about transforming the whole business using technologies, right? Almost everything now you are automating and transforming through technology, all the processes, every department. While e-commerce is the use of electronic technologies and internet to buy and sell products and services. So you can see in a e-business there will be buying and selling of products and services also happening. So in a e-business, e-commerce will be available, right, as part of e-business. And e-business have other things as well, right? Staff recruitment, procurement, supply chain, everything has to be electronically handled, not only buying and selling. So e-commerce is one of the things in e-business, and there are more things in e-business. So if you look at the answer of the most realistic relationship between e-commerce and e-business, of course it's e-commerce is a subset, right? It's a one part of e-business. Inside e-business, e-commerce can be formed, right? Question number 20. Projections and responses to queries are associated with. Now in your textbook there are several information systems discussed to great detail: decision support systems, management information systems, executive support systems, transaction processing systems. So for this question I have only taken these executive information systems to explain, but it's very important to read all the other sections so that if you get a question from other systems also, you can answer it easily. So if you look at an executive information system, pools data from internal and external sources and makes information available to senior managers in an easy to use form. An EIS helps senior managers make strategic unstructured decisions. Information of EIS can be presented in the form of a digital dashboard, which displays on a single screen graphs and charts of key performance indicators for managing a company. Digital dashboards are becoming an increasingly popular tool for management decision makers. So you can see projections, like dashboards are used to make projections. So if we change a certain staff number in a production line, if we change the raw material flow in the production line, the dashboard will show how it will affect the delivery time. So projections can be made in a dashboard. You can see that, and we can make certain queries in the system and see what if we increase the number of days of production, what is the number of staff we need. So we can give different queries, and it will respond to our queries, and it will give us projections, because executive support systems are helping the senior managers to make strategic and unstructured decisions. So likewise, you have to read information about, explanations about other systems as well. Okay. Now let's move on to question number 21. Now this question is all about the MIS, Management Information System. So let's look at what the textbook says. Management information systems convert data from mainly internal sources, right, not from external sources, into information, for example, summary reports and exception reports. So these reports can be example as pricing levels, pricing of products, different reports can be created. So this information enables managers to make timely and effective decisions for planning, directing and controlling the activities for which they are responsible. And it also says MIS provides regular reports and giving online access to organizations' current and historical performance. So the organization's performance can be accessed via an MIS, where online you can see all the reports of the organization's performance. MIS usually transform data from underlying transaction processing systems into summarized files that are used as the basis for management reports. So basically, management information systems are helping to prepare management reports. So then the textbook also says these are the following characteristics of management information system. So first one is support structured decisions at operational and management levels. Designed to report on existing operations. Have little analytical capability. So MIS does not analyze the data and gives you suggestions or anything. Relatively inflexible, right? And mostly data will be from internal sources. It will not get data from outside, right? So this is all about helping for decision making, preparing reports, kind of a thing. So let's look at the four answers. It's asking for which is not an objective of MIS. So facilitate the decision making process. Yes, it's an objective. Provide requisite information at each level of management. Yes, it's an objective. This is MIS is all about providing information for decision making. Support decision making. Yes, this is an objective. So the last one is not an objective. MIS is not there to recruit people. It's not part of the recruitment process. So this is not a software where people recruitment happens. Right. Question number 22. So this question is all about decision support systems. So we talked about executive information systems. We talked about management information systems. Now we are in the decision support systems question. So let's look at what the textbook is saying on this. Decision support systems combine data and analytical models. So decision support system, it combines the data just like the MIS did. It combines the data and it also uses different analytical models or analytical data analysis tools, because this feature or this software is all about helping us to take decisions. Not as a support, it will also give us suggestions how to make decisions, what is the best solution here. So it will support semi-structured and unstructured decision making. Although decision support systems use internal information from transaction processing systems and management information systems, they often bring in information from external sources, right? So for these decisions, this system will also look for information, relevant information from outside as well. So this system will connect through the internet and access necessary information and use them also together with the internal information in the organization when giving us certain projections and support. So decision support systems are used by management to assist in making decisions on issues which are subject to high levels of uncertainty about the problem, the various responses which management could undertake, or the likely impact of those actions. So now you can see decision support system is using analytical models to work with the data, to process the data, to remodel the data so that it can help us take correct decisions. So here the answer is models or analytical models to manipulate the data. So that is question number 22. So let's move on to question number 23. So this question is about the nature of the data or the characteristic or attributes of the data. So data that can be modeled as dimension attributes and measure attributes are called what? So if you look at, I have taken an example. This is not from the textbook, I just took it from the internet just to show you that a type of data, how it can have many dimensions to that. So example, this take this as a data record from an organization who sells personal computers. So you can see they have 3 models to be sold, and you can see they are currently selling in 2 cities, Tokyo and Rome, and these are the data for January, February, March and April, right? So this figure is the standard computer sale for January month for both of the locations, and this is the executive PC sale for the same attribute. This is the ambassador PC sale for that attribute. So you can compare in one city, in Tokyo, what is the difference. You can then further extract the data and see, or you can compare and see each month how data is being changed or the sales are being changed. So when you look at this data, it has multiple dimensions. It can be sold on different cities, it can be sold on a different time frame. So if the data can be modeled according to the dimension attributes and the measure attributes, this is a multi-dimensional data, right? So this data, this 4472, has multiple dimensions. So it has a time dimension where January is the time dimension, and it also has the location dimension, right? So this is helpful in data modeling, and when we talk about data warehouses and ERP systems, we talk about this multidimensional data a lot. So that is question number 23. Now we are moving to question number 24. This question is about the answer is data mining. So I have taken this section again. So we earlier also discussed that data mining is about identifying hidden patterns and relationships in large pool of data. So this is a bit different from online analytical processing, where this is happening then and there when the data is being collected. This analysis is happening in this system, but data mining is a not a live process. this is applied to data which is collected previously. So blank predicts future trends and behaviors, allowing business managers to make proactive, knowledge-driven decisions. So this is a technique or a action or a tool which can be used to predict this. So other things are static things like data warehouse is where all the data is being kept. Data marts are parts of the data warehouse where you segregate for analysis. And metadata is the information about the data. We have data about data. What is this data? We have to have another data explaining, okay, this is the first month sale by this salesperson. So the data is the sales figure, but we have to have data about the data, right? So the answer here is data mining, which helps us to predict future trends and behaviors based on the patterns in the large pools of data. So here the large pools of data means data in the data warehouse. Right. So now we are moving into the 25th question, the final question in the part 1 of this video. This question is all about Internet of Things, which is another popular term in technology these days. So let's have a look at what it says. Internet of Things is a system of interrelated computing devices, mechanical and digital machines, objects, animals. So like that, Internet of Things, not only web pages and files and video and media, now the internet is having all these things also connected. So your refrigerator, your washing machine, your door lock, the house door lock, or your car can be connected to the internet now, right? So when the internet is having all these elements or things connected to the internet, this can be termed as Internet of Things, right? So when we are studying Internet of Things, we have different processors, different security measures, and the things itself. But Internet of Things, it's not an element of Internet of Things. People are not an element of Internet of Things. But we can have people in the Internet of Things. For example, if you have a smartwatch or a fitness tracker, and if you are doing walking, or if you are exercising, or all the information about you through that device which is in your hand are being collected by the device and is shared with the internet service provider. So the software in the phone can tell, okay, whether you had a good night's sleep, whether your heart rate is okay, because you have a device on your hand which is measuring your vital signs. So basically you are now connected to the internet. Your details are there, right? But the question is asking an element of IoT. So you are not an element of IoT. You are one of the things which are connected to the internet. So people can be connected to the internet as one of the things, right? But IoT elements are process, security, and all the other things, how IoT is built up, right? So with that, the first pilot's paper discussion is over. So you can refer the second video for the second part of the pilot paper discussion, and it is recommended that always go through your study pack and read in detail and take notes, and keep information clearly noted down, so that if you get questions from other areas which is not covered in this pilot paper, you can also be prepared and get yourself ready. And let's meet in the second video of the pilot paper discussion. Thank you.